Good evening, everyone. We're going to start the August 14th, 2025 regular meeting of the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners. First order of business is salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Can I have the treasurer's report, please?
Thank you. Tonight we're looking at the financials as of July 31st. They currently present a net budget surplus of approximately $1.4 million. We have resumed our investments in Treasury Direct. As we've talked about at prior meetings, the interest rates are still remaining around 4.2%. Our financial statements are being finalized by our auditors. We anticipate they will be available in the office and via FOIL by the end of this month. They'll also be posted on our website for anybody who is interested. We're coming into budget season, and our next meeting we'll have to discuss what our proposed budget might look like for 2026. Our next meeting is scheduled for September 11th, and we have to have a proposed budget by September 30th. Right now, we still have a few things that are up in the air. As we've discussed, we currently don't have contract terms negotiated for 2025 and beyond, which will, have an impact on what we put together for our budget. We have received finalized information for purposes of the tax cap, so we know that we have the ability to increase the budget approximately 2.4%, which is around $540,000 without exceeding the tax cap, so a little bit higher than the 2%. And we also don't know, there may be an exclusion for the pension system, which will give us some additional room there as well, but that has not been released yet. Just from looking at 2025, I've identified here certain accounts where I would anticipate we should have some increases. These are some of just our regular operating expenses like vehicle maintenance, emergency equipment, our payroll processing expense with Ceridian that has gone up a bit. We've had a lot of special payrolls with retirees, fuel and electric, our life insurance, and our coats, boots, and helmets. Just from preliminary, those are accounts where I would likely be recommending, modest increases. As far as input from the chiefs, I know that at the last meeting, Assistant Chief Yazzo presented an apparatus plan that I think there was some interest in from the board, looking at kind of the recommendations for 2026. I think originally there were 4 vehicles that were contemplated, and from speaking with both of the chiefs, I think it might only make sense to need to do 3 in 2026. They're replacements for 2104, 2105, and 2106. The anticipated cost based on preliminary quotes that Assistant Chief Yazzo has received is approximately $250,000. And that would be, the only increase we'd be looking at there, and it's not necessarily an increase because we had more than that built in this year for the engine that we're getting delivery of in 2026. Those would be the only, as of right now, the only apparatus replacements that we would be considering in the budget. Right now, it would not include any funds for future capital improvements. So if that is something that the board wants to discuss, we certainly can. I know that we've been discussing Station 3, but that would likely be something that we would bond. So that might not necessarily be any kind of information we would have going for the 2026 budget. We have received our projected invoice from the retirement system for 2026, but that is the amount that we'll actually pay this year. It's not final, but typically our actual invoice matches the projected invoice. It looks like it'll come in about $58,000 under what we budgeted for this current year. We don't have a projection yet for next year's invoice, which will be the 2027 invoice that we pay in 2026. That's really what will determine whether we need a budget adjustment. But we should have that we should definitely have it prior to the final adoption of the budget, and it is possible that we'll even have that before the September 11th meeting. So that'll be something, you know, typically that is one of our largest line items. It did look like the rates might be coming down a little, our contribution rates on tier 6, which if you look at our breakdown is starting to make up a larger portion of our membership. So I'm not anticipating the same size increase as we saw last year, but we'll hopefully know that by the next meeting. And then with respect to NISHIP, which is, you know, again, one of our largest expenses that we really don't have any control over, we know, similar to last year, we will not know rates prior to adopting our budget, so we will just have to use our, you know, best estimate based on historical, you know, what we've seen historically. Last year, we had anticipated, you know, over 10% based on like the previous 3 years, and then they kind of surprised us all and really didn't increase the rates very much. I believe that's going to have been an anomaly, so I don't know that we can rely on that for this year, but like I said, we did put an increase in last year. That didn't really, you know, necessarily happen this year, so we might be okay there. I, you know, again, may not need the same type of increase we needed from 2024 into 2025. So like I said, still, you know, the contract is the biggest piece. If we have, you know, more concrete data on that, you know, before we get through the budget process, that would be helpful. Otherwise, we will have to adopt something by September 30th, and then we have the ability to adjust that either up or down prior to November 4th, which is the like final date that a budget has to be finalized. Just a couple of other things. I think we're going to speak about it later. I had sent along to the commissioners information about the assistant chief position, that we finally, you know, have a newly established assistant chief list from the exam that was taken earlier in the year. Civil service, since we have someone provisional, is supposed to just send us a copy, you know, send us the list and tell us to make an appointment. They haven't done that yet, so our rep, you know, suggested that we put in the request. So I just, you know, asked the board to authorize me to get the list so we can move forward with, you know, switching that over from provisional to a, you know, normal probationary position. And then I just wanted to say that the chief, myself, and the assistant chief, we met with our representative from JP Morgan Chase earlier this week. Just like they like to come in every once in a while just to do a review, look at our accounts. I think it went well, you know, nothing really stood out. I would say she did, you know, talk about our credit card. There is now like a New York State commercial credit card consortium. So like New York State went out for bid to find a credit card provider for government entities. JP Morgan won the bid. And, you know, the difference is like you have more flexibility with your credit line, and it also, you get quarterly rebates by having that credit card. She said the credit card we have now is like a business credit card. We just have a Chase Inc. card. And so it might be something worth looking into, to switching over to this like government credit card, which will get us this little bit of a rebate. Is, you know, better than nothing. She said the credit card we have now, you know, obviously it's still fine, but it's not something they offer anymore. So this is probably more in line with what a government credit card should be. So if the board has any interest, I can get some more information and maybe, you know, consider a motion at the next meeting to switch over our credit card. You know, because she says it gives us access to a different system. It has like better reports that we can run. So it, you know, it sounded interesting. There's no fee, just like there's no fee on our credit card now. It's just that you get this added benefit of a rebate. So something that, like I said, if it's something the board is interested in hearing more about, I can provide some more information and we can maybe make a motion at a later meeting.
Okay,
Okay?
all right.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Jamie.
Sure.
I guess the motion for the assistant chief's position, make later on, or?
Yeah, or whatever you prefer. You want to just do it now?
Yeah, let's do it now. I'd like to make a motion to authorize the treasurer, Jamie Hedstrom, to request the assistant chief's list from Westchester County Civil Service. And with a motion to authorize the treasurer to complete the relevant paperwork to initiate a civil service status change for Assistant Chief Bruce Yazzo, badge number 124, from the position of Provisional Assistant Chief to Probationary Assistant Chief, based on the newly established Civil Assistant Chiefs list. Any questions on that motion?
No, I'll second it.
Second? Should we do a separate vote?
Yeah, you can just name the commissioners and they can vote.
Okay, Commissioner Sarasi,
What was it?
the Assistant Chief's position?
Aye.
Okay. Commissioner Carlo?
Aye.
Commissioner Laurie?
Aye.
Commissioner Yankowski?
Aye.
And aye.
Motion passed.
Okay, motion approved.
Jumped over the chief's report here.
Okay. Chief, your report?
Thank you, Commissioner. Good evening, everybody. July 2025 monthly activity report. Total alarms, 295. 5 were fire-related, 160 were EMS or rescue, and mutual aid was given once to the Hartsdale Fire District. The 5 probationary firefighters graduated the Career Fire Academy on Friday, July 11th, after completing 20 weeks of intense training. They are working in their assigned groups and will work on an engine with the lieutenant for their first few months. So now that those positions are on the line, we now have a lieutenant and 2 firefighters on Engine 31 at the North End Firehouse full-time. Hank Henniger's mechanic report for July was emailed to the board on August 7th. Tim Dalton's maintenance report for July was emailed to the board on August 7th. And Tim is currently working on replacing the steel exterior doors at Station 1. He's replaced 2 of them. He's doing a great job. Fire prevention and code activities continue with numerous plan reviews and inspections, and the reports were emailed to the board on August 8th. Currently, there is 1 member out on long-term absence. Something that we've been discussing over the last year, the board has met with 2 project management firms for the repairs or replacement of the Bronxville Firehouse. What additional information does the board need to select a firm to begin the project? Our engineering firm had advised the district that the apparatus floor needs attention. The temporary repair has been there for over 20 years. We also know the roof, the windows, the exterior brickwork, the interior walls and ceilings all need attention. So I would request the board please consider hiring DAC Consulting Solutions, who came to the meeting and did a presentation, Calgi Construction, who also came to a meeting and did a presentation, or some other firm that you may choose to move forward with the project. But we can't just keep kicking the can down the road. Eventually that floor is going to be considered unsafe, and we're not going to be able to operate out of the Bronxville Firehouse. So I'm not asking for anything tonight other than let's try to get the ball rolling. Maybe next month we can make a decision. If you need any additional information, please let me know. Jamie gave me the cost of the Chester Heights Firehouse if some commissioners are considering repairing. The roof on the Chester Heights Firehouse costs $382,000 and change. The exterior windows cost $87,400. Exterior windows and the brick repointing cost $437,508. The apparatus floor was $852,000. And the heating and ADA upgrades was $802,000. So just for the contractors, they were paid $2,474,000 and change. The architects were paid $323,000. So if you're considering repairing the firehouse, we started the Chester Heights with the roof on August 2017, and we completed the floor and moved back into the firehouse in 2024. So it was a 7-year project from beginning to end. So if you're considering doing that in Bronxville, many commissioners feel it might be easier to take down the firehouse and start from scratch. But that's a board decision, and anything we do, we don't have money in the budget. The total project in Chester Heights was $2.7 million, almost $2.8 million. And those were at before COVID bids, okay? So I would say you can double or triple that $3 million number, so $6 million or, $8, $9 million to repair it, depending on, how the bids come in, or a new firehouse, which, I wouldn't even foster a guess. The architects that came in from Calgi said you can expect it to cost $400 to $600 a square foot. So if you're doing a new firehouse, it depends on how big. Is it going to be 2 bays, 3 bays, 4 bays? Is it going to be 1 story, 2 story, 3 stories? You know, all that's going to add up to the cost. So I'm just asking the board to if you need more information, please let me know. If you are prepared to make a decision with the 2 consulting firms and possibly next month, we can't ignore it forever. Eventually the floor is going to be unsafe, and like I said, that would be a sin if we let that firehouse get to the point where it's not usable anymore. It's first due at Lawrence Hospital. There's multiple dwellings in Bronxville, so it's an important firehouse. So even if we have to close it temporarily to repair it or replace it, we need to get that ball rolling. And finally, I would like to offer my congratulations to firefighter Billy George on his retirement effective July 17, 2025. Billy began his career with the Eastchester Fire District as a volunteer firefighter with the Tucko Hose Company on January 14, 1988, and was issued badge 1744. He rose up through the ranks to the rank of one of the deputy chiefs. I don't know if it was the deputy chief, first assistant, or second assistant, but he rose up to the rank of deputy chief. And he was appointed as a career firefighter on June 22, 2002, and issued badge 172. Billy served the residents of Eastchester Fire District for over 37 years of combined service, and I wish him a long and healthy retirement. And just want to thank him. He was a mentor to all the new firefighters when they came on. He was, great to have around, and the department's going to miss him. So that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Chief. I just want to mention that Commissioner Laurie, myself, the chief and assistant chief, met with Calgi Construction.
No, that was DAC, the one that in Rockland County when we
No,
went to the firehouse?
when we
Okay.
went to Bronxville.
Yeah, okay.
They gave us advice on certain things, and being that they've seen it, we told them what we wanted, that I'm comfortable with working with them. If the rest of the board feels the same way, if we can vote on it tonight, maybe we can get a month's head start on, finding out more information on what they can do and get the ball rolling.
So I don't have their proposal with me, so maybe it would be easier to make a proper resolution at next month meeting. I know we're kicking it down the road, but, I forget, they did send a proposal, so I didn't have that with me because I didn't know if the board, even wanted to decide if they wanted to go with one of those 2 firms that we've met with or with a different firm. So I can have something prepared for next month.
Okay.
Chief, I'll probably have a special meeting
Okay?
pretty soon for the contract, so we can
Okay.
we can do it then.
All right, very good.
Okay. All right. Secretary is absent tonight. No one has a report from the secretary, right?
It's in here.
Oh.
It's in here if you want to see it. If you want to read it, it's in here.
Yeah.
She posted her report online?
It's right in
She
here,
usually
Chief.
does. Yeah, so her report's available on the website.
It's even here, Chief.
Yeah, but the public doesn't have
Oh,
it, so
okay.
I don't know if he wants to read it or just
Okay, there you
say
go.
it's available.
Yeah, there really isn't much to it. The secretary's report for the month is social media. In July, there were 3 July activity was 3 posts on the website, ongoing maintenance and updates. FOIL officer, July activity, 2 FOIL requests. Records management officer, records project, continued work on organizing loose records and scanning projects. Office in general, onboarding for probationary firefighters for the fall 2025 academy. Prepared the OML document for the July meeting. Updated and posted minutes on the website. Updated the 2025 resolution spreadsheet. Performed regular office tasks, including scheduling, billing, customer service, and staff support. And that's the secretary's report. Okay. All right.
Bills.
All right. Now we have payment of bills. I believe all the commissioners have seen the bills. So be it resolved that the Board of Fire Commissioners approves to pay the bills and vouchers as presented. The board has supplied has been supplied with one set of bills and one credit card bill. Chief Tween has reviewed all prior to the meeting, except certiorari claims and those specifically marked as reviewed by the treasurer. The treasurer has requested the board approve the following. Warrant 1, dated August 14th, 2025, for $677,785.20. Credit card bill dated 8/18/25 of $6,379.60, for a total of $684,164.80. Can I have a,
I'll second.
okay, all in favor? Or,
Call the roll.
okay. Commissioner Sarasi?
Aye.
Commissioner Carla?
Aye.
Commissioner Laurie?
Aye.
Commissioner Yankowski?
Aye.
And aye. Okay. 7:15, okay. And the next order of business is volunteers.
Commissioner Allen, before we talk about that, could I just, I know Commissioner Yankowski put something on the computer, and I didn't answer him, but I do want to say this. He had put on the computer that he demanded an apology to the board and asking for my resignation.
Did not ask for your resignation.
You recommended it.
No. I said, by you leaving the board here and sitting in the public, I said, was that you resigning? That's what I
No,
asked.
I didn't say that.
So
It
I did
didn't
not
s-
ask for your
Well, it
resignation.
didn't sound that way. Well, anyway, before I give an apology for my actions last week or last month, I spoke what came from my heart. Before I give an apology or my resignation or anything like that, you could wait until the saints come marching down that aisle. I'll do that. Because I've been here since 1973. That's 52 years. I've been here, and Commissioner Yankowski, I never saw you at a Board of Fire Commissioner meeting, a memorial service, a promotional exercise, or any function from the fire department, and you're here 8 months. Commissioner Ranelon was right behind me since 1973. You're here 8 months, and you suggest that I give an apology and a resignation, or the way you put it, whatever have you. Like I says, you could wait till the saints come marching down there, or you whistle Dixie, either one. That's when you'll get it. Until that, I'm here until the end of 2026, if not re-elected or whatever have you. Thank you.
Okay. I just wanted to state, I did not ask for his resignation. I said, by him leaving and going into the public, I didn't know if that was a form of resignation.
No, it
And
wasn't.
second thing, the reason I asked for the apology is because you said you were blindsided.
I was.
That night. No,
Yes, I was.
and I made it a point in that day to say, we were all told what was gonna happen 3 days earlier, and you responded.
Not me,
And,
not me.
and you responded in the text, even that day
Hey,
when I
I
said it.
saw it, it said in the,
Okay.
it said
Okay.
on the thing, it says volunteers. That's all it said. And all I responded with, how sweet. I thought you were gonna talk
No.
something nice about us. And that's it. That's the only thing that I was notified about. Nothing, any other thing.
The text before that said what we were gonna do.
I never saw anything like that,
And you
believe
said
me.
how, okay.
Okay, maybe my text came different, but I did not see anything like that.
So maybe we misunderstood each other?
I don't know that, if we did or not, but I know I didn't see anything like that. I mean,
Okay.
people don't want us in the firehouse. We were having a benevolent association meeting here in the town hall. Former firefighter Quentin Baker, we were having it upstairs, and he even says, why do we have to have it here? Why can't we have it in the firehouse? Am I correct, Quentin? That was quite a while ago. Right, we were having it upstairs, okay? So I'm not the only one that feels hurt on it, because trust me, if the governor of the state of New York, no matter who it is, or who she is, or the town supervisor came here and made an announcement that he's gonna abolish the PBA, I'm sure you and Commissioner Sarasi would be very upset.
All right.
I'm
no,
finished, I'm
okay,
finished.
All right, okay. All right, so we're on the issue now of the volunteers.
Do you want to read the motion, or do you want me to do it?
Okay.
There's nothing to discuss. It's not up for discussion.
Why can't we have an open discussion? These gentlemen want to speak up. Commissioner Ranelon, you're conducting the meeting.
The discussion is usually after the motion is read, so you know what you're discussing.
Okay, but nobody even had the motion yet.
Well, he was just going to read it, I believe.
Okay.
Okay.
Whereas the Eastchester Fire District is a duly organized fire district governed by the Board of Fire Commissioners pursuant to the laws of the state of New York, and whereas the Board of Fire Commissioners is responsible for the management, control, and oversight of all real and personal property owned by the district, and whereas the district's property, including but not limited to fire stations, apparatus, equipment, and other assets, is held for the benefit of the public and must be used in a manner consistent with the district's mission and applicable laws, and whereas it is necessary to establish clear guidelines to ensure that any use of district property by volunteer fire companies or other entities is subject to appropriate oversight and authorization. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Fire Commissioners of the Eastchester Fire District as follows. 1, use of district property. No volunteer company, fire department, or any other organization or individual shall use, occupy, or access any property, equipment, or facilities owned by the district without the prior written approval of the Board of Fire Commissioners. 2, approval process. Any request for use of district property must be submitted in writing to the board, specifying the nature, purpose, date, and duration of the proposed use. Board shall review such requests at a duly convened meeting and may approve, deny, or conditionally approve the request in its sole discretion. 3, enforcement. Unauthorized use of district property shall be deemed a violation of this resolution and may result in disciplinary action, revocation of privileges, or other remedies as permitted by law. 4, effective date. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon adoption. And that's the resolution. So any discussion on the resolution?
Who wrote this up?
Our attorney.
The board's attorney? Under whose approval?
I asked him to write up a motion outlining what the volunteers can or cannot do within our district.
Yeah, but before you go to the attorney, everybody on this board should have knowledge of that. And I didn't have knowledge that you went to this.
Okay?
Okay, so I think this is out of order, because nobody voted on this, did they? Just you took it upon yourself to...
No one voted on it. You and Randall are obviously...
That doesn't matter what me and Randall want.
I'm not going with this again. We've read the motion. We want to discuss it amongst the board members. I'm not talking about who, what, or how the motion got started. I don't personally feel the volunteers should just waltz into our firehouse when they feel like it, go into parades with armored vehicles. I know you guys, you always ask to use our vehicles. I'm just setting clear guidelines. I'm not abolishing you folks. I'm not doing anything bad to you. I'm just making it clear guidelines on here. It's very succinct. It's very clear. It's nothing that's harmful to you. So I'm not sure what the issue is, but I'm not going to spend all night going back and forth with you on
Well,
this.
then don't stay here. We could be here till tomorrow morning.
Okay, knock yourselves out. You want to vote
Okay,
on it
yeah,
now?
but
You
I'm
wanna talk about it?
just asking.
told
You took this upon
Yes, I
yourself
did,
to...
yes.
Well, you're wrong.
Okay, well, that's fine. Now, you wanna
You're
keep-
wrong.
no,
So
okay.
I think this is out of order, because you took this upon yourself. Suppose I call the lawyer and says that Commissioner Carlo's doing stuff that I'm not aware of.
Call him up. You get a motion, you can vote on it. You vote yes, you vote no.
Yeah, but we didn't vote on any,
You don't have
we
to-
didn't
I don't-
vote
You don't
on
have to
this.
vote on every time a motion is being brought up, or if it's going to be initiated.
You used the lawyer, you spend taxpayers' money to...
Okay, you want,
Did you spend taxpayers' money to write this letter?
I'm sure at some point, half hour, maybe, who knows?
Well, I didn't pay for it. You didn't pay for it. You got it done for free. You made the taxpayers pay for this. Did you tell the taxpayers at last meeting you were going to write a letter to all
I don't have
the
to.
law? You don't have to?
No.
If I may interject, I believe this motion just sets guidelines for anyone who wishes to use firehouse
Okay,
for any reason.
I hear that, but who authorized to call the lawyer to tell us this?
Any commissioner,
we-
any commissioner can call a lawyer and discuss any matter they want. That's always been the case.
No, it wasn't.
Well, it is the case. It's been the case for years. There's a while there where a prior chairman said it had to go through him. For years now, any commissioner can pick up the phone and call our attorney.
Yeah, we had a commissioner here, used to call the attorney 2 or 3 times a day, 4 or 5 times a week.
All right, so
And do you know what the taxpayer, if the taxpayers knew what that commissioner spent? Do you know that, you
Let's
wouldn't
not
get a
go
seat in there.
back to what happened years ago.
Okay.
That didn't happen now, so let's forget about it.
Okay.
There's nothing we could do about what happened in the past.
Okay.
This,
But we could do something what happened to this. This was done, he could have come and said, look, I want to write a letter to, what do you guys think? He didn't say nothing, just took it upon himself.
Okay.
So that's wrong, Paul, you know that.
It's something I chose to do.
Something
And
you
now it's
chose
and
to do.
now it's a motion, now you can vote on it.
But
What activity trying to let the volunteers encumber us? We're not there.
we're not ready for the public yet. We're not having a public discussion yet.
And enforcement, how are you gonna enforcement?
We're not having a public discussion right now.
Don't vote on this motion, okay? Move it over to the next meeting.
Like I said, this motion gives guidelines to the district so that anyone who wants to use a firehouse for any reason, they know what guidelines they have to follow. They know if they have to get permission prior to and be granted that permission. That is all.
okay, but why are the volunteers being figured out? You had,
I don't see, all right, it does mention volunteer.
okay, but
But it also mentions any other organization or individual.
Is the UPFA in that? It should, it's gonna do.
There is no such thing as the UPFA. There is no such thing as the UPFA.
They use Station 2 with Tuckahoe's company. Why aren't they following the same guidelines we gotta follow?
That,
Tom, you want to come down to,
don't come down, because we're not having a public discussion now.
Well, I'm gonna sit right here by the microphone so they can
Okay,
still
you
hear.
do that.
It'll be a long night.
The union uses that as their office.
And they shouldn't use it as their office.
Are you required by the union to give them an office?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And they requested their permission, and they got it.
and we requested it, I went to the chief, and they asked the chief if we could share that room with them, and he gave me his permission. Am I correct, chief? I went and asked you for that. We didn't go in there on our own. Even though it's our room, I came and I asked you, could we share it with them?
I don't know that I gave blanket. I think it was for a meeting or two that, when the union, because you had to coordinate access through the union
Yeah.
because they have a lock on the door.
And we use it
So it wasn't
once-
blanket.
We used it once
Permission.
every 3 months. And I think at the time, right now, I think it's a matter of 3 times that we used it. Because we didn't want to get we didn't want to get blamed for touching anything in the room. And we have no problem with the union, but we just didn't want to interfere with anything that was in there, even though it's partially our room. We just had a meeting elsewhere. So what is it, 3 times we used it, Tom, at the most?
Well, you use it at least currently. You're using it at least
3 times this year. 3 times this year,
So far.
so far.
But in a year's time, it gets used 4 to 5 times a year.
If we use it that much.
Right.
If we use it that much.
And why is that a concern, 5 times a year? Ridiculous.
I've been a member since 1979.
It doesn't matter how long you've been, it doesn't matter how long you've been a member. We don't want people in the fire, we don't want people in the firehouse. We don't want people in the firehouse. Okay, that's it.
Okay? First of all, no volunteer company you had to ask for permission to use any of the firehouses that they were assigned to. Not a one. Not the benevolent, not the VOA, not any of the companies.
You're going
Now
back,
all
you're
of a
going back,
sudden
you're going back,
want-
you're going back.
Now you want to put guidelines on volunteers. Why?
You're no longer active. We don't want you in the firehouse.
Why?
That's it. We're no longer active.
Why don't you want us in the firehouse?
I did. You're no longer active. You're an inactive organization. You don't,
What's the difference?
you don't exist anymore.
I'm sitting here, all these guys are.
Okay, in your own little world,
Why can't we
I'm not, okay, I'm
use
not,
the firehouse like we were?
All right,
It's
that's
that
it.
simple.
Okay,
You're putting guidelines on something that doesn't need to be done.
it does.
When a member came into the department, he got his little rule book. When the meeting was, when the drills were, and everybody knew it. You knew when you were going to the firehouse. And when, after you responded, you went back to the firehouse and you put the apparatus back in service and cleaned it. Everybody's been doing
Tom.
that since the beginning of time.
Tom, you
Now,
talking-
all of a sudden, it's not something we need to do.
you're talking about items that happened 20 years ago.
And what's the difference now?
The difference is now is you're not an active entity of the fire
It doesn't matter,
department.
we're still volunteers and members of the department. Whether you want
You're-
to use us or not.
You're individual members of your own particular company.
And those are our quarters.
Companies that make up the department.
The-
We're still members of the department, regardless of how you look at it. You're not saving anything, you're not making anything
Exactly, well,
special, nothing. But you're picking on volunteers.
we're not picking on anybody. We are setting guidelines for anyone who wants to use the firehouse for
Okay,
whatever
as
reason.
Anybody else, we're members of the department.
We're talking about us, we're not talking about other people. We're talking about the volunteer.
Okay, all right. Well, you're talking about one thing, and we're talking about a lot of different things. So don't take it as a thing against you. It's not against you. It has to do with anyone who wants to use the firehouse
Well, then why
for
doesn't it
any
say that on the
reason.
paper?
It says it.
You no longer provide a service to the district. We don't need to have you in the firehouse for any reason. That's the answer. You provide no service to the district. You never will be. Don't hold your breath. Okay, okay, I'm not having a discussion. You no longer provide a service to the district. We have every right in the world to say who would not come into the firehouse. That's the answer. That's the answer. Now, you want to vote on this so we can go along, or you want to go all night? Well, after you vote, I don't care what you do.
All right, so now is the time that we should be voting on this, right?
What's that?
We should be voting on it now.
So are you making the motion? Is he making the motion? And then you need a second. So who's making
You
that
want to make the
motion?
motion? Do you think you should abstain? Whatever. If you want, I'll make the motion.
You decide if you want to
I'll make
abstain
the
or
motion.
not.
I need a second.
Does anybody-
Okay.
I'll second.
What?
Wait a minute, there's people want to speak on the issue. Go-
It doesn't
who
matter.
wants
We're
to-
going to vote on we're voting on the motion.
All right, but they still want to speak. You got,
They can speak after the.
Not allow the public to speak first on behalf of it. How are you gonna do that? How are you consciously gonna sit there and vote on something and not give?
It doesn't. I don't have to. It doesn't matter what you guys talk about.
Why not? Why not? I can tell you right now what you're doing by not letting people talk. You're hiding something.
I'm not hiding anything. Go ahead. What you want?
What are you hiding? What are you hiding?
We're not bringing this up during. It's not public section.
opinion doesn't matter?
It's nothing.
That's what you said, the public's opinion doesn't matter.
No, I don't. We have a right. We have a right to say who and what can enter the firehouse. The volunteers do no longer provide a service to the district. It's as simple as that. You don't need to come into the firehouse without our permission. That's all I'm saying. You got a problem with that? I'm sorry. Why is that so? Is that so harmful to you?
Very soon. It's coming.
Okay.
If you had to have a meeting in the firehouse, if this motion gets approved and you wanted a meeting in the firehouse, all you'd have to do is call up headquarters, we want to use the firehouse on such and such a date for whatever.
I shouldn't have to, I'm a member of the Eastchester,
You're a member of nothing.
pay attention.
I am paying attention.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You're a liar.
You're
I'm a
still,
liar?
You are.
I'm a liar because you guys don't provide a service since 2017. 2007. I'm a liar.
And whose fault is that? Whose fault is that?
A prior chief.
This room would, right now would be willing to provide a service.
That's never going to happen. You guys, it's over. It's never going to happen. You think we're going to have a discussion now about the rebirth of volunteers. Is that the next discussion? Are you serious?
No, you're delirious because there's a whole bunch of people who want to save taxpayers money that want to have volunteers. You want to go there?
Go where? We're not having volunteers again. We are a paid district. We are no longer a volunteer district.
Come to the microphone, don't be shouting back there. Come to the microphone if you want to speak.
We are
You
a
got-
paid district. We will never be a volunteer district again. That's just, that's the bottom line.
Combination is the word. If you were a commissioner and you knew how the fire department was, this was.
It doesn't matter how it was.
It was.
That's how it is.
Combination
And
department.
today it's a paid fire department.
You shouldn't even be in that seat.
Oh, maybe next year I won't be, so don't worry about it.
Read the charter. It's a combination department.
But I'm working on that. We'll work on that too, don't worry.
Oh, yeah, all right, change all the legal
Yeah,
stuff.
things can change. It's okay, it's nothing, yeah.
We got lots of money to pay lawyers to do stupid things. Oh, the other thing I want to say, since I'm up here, what, Chief, you said $2.7 million for Station 4?
The total cost with engineering, architect, and construction cost was $2.798032 and 73 cents.
7 years, and the firehouse still ain't finished.
It's
Tell the
finished.
people
It's,
that.
it's finished.
It's
You're not getting an elevator. It's finished.
Station 4 is a mess.
You're out of your mind.
I'm out of my
It's not finished. Are you serious? It's finished. It's been finished for a long time.
Introduce yourself, please.
May I speak?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Lou Russo, former deputy chief. Just to correct the record, I know they said the volunteers haven't responded since 2008, the last meeting. That's incorrect. We were responding, and I was responding up until I left the district in 2012 when I left the country for work. That's neither here nor there. We are where we are. Question. I heard a comment that the public's opinion doesn't matter. I think this is an important issue about the Eastchester public. So you should listen. My recommendation is you listen to what the public has to say. You table the vote until you hear what they have to say. It's an important issue. The public should have some feedback. There's no downside to
Fine,
that.
You can listen.
Okay.
You can say what you want to say.
Okay.
Come to the microphone and keep it short, keep it brief. It's not a discussion. You make your points, and then we go about our business.
No, I appreciate that.
That's it.
The second thing I would say is there's a comment here, the volunteers are never coming back, like that's a badge of honor, right? That is actually the wrong attitude. I don't understand why this board doesn't say, okay, why don't we give a window and try to get the volunteers back? Well, there's no downside to having volunteers, okay? It helps keep the career guys safer, more firefighters in district that can get there, all right? It helps the community because now you have trained firefighters within the community, helps keep everybody safer. You're bringing it into their homes. This way the public, which we serve, is better off. And third, it keeps costs down. Mark my words, 6 months from now, you're going to ask for 3 men on a rig, right? And the taxes are going to go way up. So, and record this. This is recorded. This will happen. I know that. You know that. What is the downside of saying to the volunteers, see what you guys can do, get yourself in order, go out recruit. You know you get, what was it, Chief? It was 5 interns that you just had, right? That's 5, like, go out, recruit, see what you can do, rekindle, maybe start small, exterior, emergency response, disaster response team, and build and see if you can build. If it doesn't work, then maybe that's when you revisit this conversation. That would be my recommendation. But what I don't understand is why are people taking it as a badge of honor to get rid of volunteers? This entire country is trying to get more people to volunteer. It seems from the comments that are being made that over here in Eastchester, volunteers are a bad thing. And if somebody can explain to me why volunteers are a bad thing and why people are taking pride in saying volunteers are never coming back, well, you should be ashamed. You should say, what can I do to help get volunteers back? Can anyone up there tell me a bad thing about having volunteers? I'm all ears.
It's not a discussion.
See, that's a perfect non-answer.
Ask Yonkers, near Shell, Mount Vernon, why they don't have volunteers.
Okay, but I'm asking Eastchester. I'm asking you in Eastchester. Do you live in Mount Vernon? Do you live in New Rochelle? No. This is Eastchester.
Yeah. I don't want
Right?
volunteers.
Why is this not good? Okay, why is it not good for Eastchester?
It's not,
Like Commissioner Laurie said before, he's got 53 years in, 52 years. I have 52 years also. I started as a volunteer. But
Thank you for your service.
But starting around 1986, there was a massive downfall of the volunteers. You couldn't rely on getting any volunteers to come to an alarm. You didn't know what their training was. You had no idea what their capabilities were. And eventually, it got to the point where something had to be done, and that something was that we had to put extra people on certain apparatus. It started as an extra person up in the North End Firehouse, an extra person on Engine 27 at headquarters. Now it's gotten to the point where we're doing over 4,000 runs a year, and we need to have a committed number of people working each tour to handle the multiple calls at the same time. The volunteers, they served their purpose years ago. I had a great time as a volunteer, but those times are over, and they're not coming back.
But why? Why are they over? Yes, it was not organized correctly. In my opinion, they were set up, and now maybe a smaller, one volunteer company instead of 5. More focus. There's ways to make it done. There's got to be a will. You know, there's old Italian saying, the fish stinks from the head down, right? So the right leadership, and I'm not saying that maybe looked like it was directed at you. It's directed at everybody. It's directed at us as volunteers. We didn't manage ourselves the optimal way, but it's everything. It all kinds of comes together. You can make it happen. I strongly disagree when you say it's over, it's done. It's over and done because there's no will from there. Give the volunteers a shot. Give them a time period. If they can't bring back the volunteers, then so be it. But you can do it in a different way. It wasn't optimal because we were trying to hold on to a setup when it was only volunteers. That didn't work, okay? We acknowledge that. You can do it with a smaller, more concise force if there's support. You got to have support. Nothing in this world works without support. And volunteerism is not a bad thing. And to say they're done and they're never coming back, and to be proud of that is shameful. It's a shameful act. There's no doubt about it. Give it a shot. It doesn't work. You don't have the members. You don't have the responses. Don't have the training. Can't get it done. Fine. But why not give it a shot? And is there a downside? I understood the history of kind of how we got there from your perspective, but what is the downside of giving it a shot to have volunteers in the town of Eastchester?
I will say this, and it may not have anything to do with what's this going on now, but there was a time when unless you had to live in the town in order to be a volunteer, and when you moved out of town, you had to get your exempts. So I don't know how many volunteers currently in this room still live in town. I live in town. Okay, you're one. But, so you take that into consideration also, that the people who are currently, say they're volunteers, a big number of them don't live in town, and they should have taken out their exempts when they moved out.
Well, you could have a certain percentage that live out of town.
No. According to the rules and regulations of the fire department, going back to the rules and regulations from back in the 1970s and 80s, once you moved out of town for a year, you had to get your exempts.
Well, when I was deputy chief, there was a rule that you had to live a certain number of miles from the district. So, but look, you can do it, right? So if that's the issue, we can make it work, right? But I guess the real question is, what is in the best interest of the citizens of the town of Eastchester, right?
Fire department.
And is there a downside to having volunteers? Now, I agree with you. You need to make sure people are trained, people are regularly drilling, that sort of thing. We could work that out.
That was part of the problem initially, right? I was a training officer for 5 years. I got promoted to captain in 2009. I would do a monthly volunteer drill. When I was a volunteer, the companies would do a volunteer drill within their company, get a dozen guys, and then there would be the department drill. So you're getting 2 drills a month for 2 hours, so 4 hours a month times 12, you're getting 48 hours of training a year. When I was doing the drills, it was Vinny Spadaro, and we were lucky if 1 or 2 other guys showed up. So we're taking a rig out of service to use the ground ladders for 3 people, and then the other, 2 dozen volunteers that are eligible to respond on calls weren't getting the annual training. And I believe, I wasn't chief at the time, but I believe when the stand-down letter came out in 2007, that was the major concern. Lack of training and accountability. If you show up to a fire scene in your own car and you grab an air pack and you go inside, you don't have a radio, you're not accounted for. You know, you could get injured in there and then nobody even knows you were there because you went to the nearest rig, you grabbed an air pack and went in. So because of lack of training and possible accountability issues, that is why the stand-down letter went. Again, I didn't write it. I wasn't chief at the time. That was, 18 years ago. But that was part of the reason that the volunteers were told to stand down, don't respond, no more training.
Okay. So again, I do acknowledge there were things that weren't done, that could have been done better and
Well,
can
the
be done better.
training was offered, the volunteers were not showing up. So what should we do different? We offered
Well,
the
when
training.
I was deputy chief, I could tell you we showed up, and most of the time, go back, check the records, we had at least 15 to 20 guys there at training.
You also have to do your OSHA 8 hours. If guys didn't show up for that, they can't wear an air pack.
And that's fine. You set minimum standards. And I could pull out documents that I put together to start at a minimum number of drills and OSHA. But
I have
here-
the training records too. Like
no,
I said, I was the training officer from 2009 till, I got into a group 4 or 5 years later.
Right. I hear you, Chief. What I'm trying to say to you, though, is, okay, let's set the parameters. You set minimum training record, agree with what it needs to be between yourself, obviously. You have veto power as the
It
chief.
would basically, be up to the board, right? Like,
Okay, no,
I
but
would
I'm
make
just saying we're
recommendations,
setting
but
the
yeah,
training
it would be a board
standards.
decision.
Completely agree. I'm just saying, you can work that out. You can work out what the minimum is, or what you want in training, the minimum number of drills. And just one thing to keep in mind, the majority of this country is made up of volunteer firefighters. Volunteer companies and combination departments work in other areas. And I am very confident that we are smart enough here in Eastchester that we could figure it out if there's a will. It comes back to will, right? Now, if people aren't coming to the drills, then they can't respond. I get it.
Right, and it got to the point where there were, not enough people had the training to be able to respond, so the chief at the time felt compelled to tell them to stand down, the letter that said, stand down.
I was out of the country when that happened, so I
I
can't really
think Peter Watson was deputy chief. I don't think you were chief at the time. I think Peter was, because it was addressed to him, Deputy Chief Peter Watson.
That was the first time. And then when
Okay.
I helped get it back, we came back, we were responding up until the time I left for Switzerland.
Okay.
Okay, and I had 2104, which is now being auctioned off, but at the time, and I was driving into calls, I was working out with the chief, storm duty. We were setting up around, before Christmas, we would be at the north end, we'd sit there and respond during calls, on the rigs, everything. Everything was working. I'm not sure exactly what happened afterwards. I'll take your word for it. Not necessarily, I only look back to see what we can do better. I like to look forward. I think we can make it work if we have support. It all comes down to support. And I'm not pointing the finger at what happened in the past at anybody. I think everybody's got their hand in a cookie jar. But where there's a will, there's a way. And I'm confident in Eastchester that we can get it done if there's the will, without any hidden agendas.
All right. Anybody else want to talk?
Thank you.
Okay. Yep.
Paul, how long do
Just
we know each
introduce
other?
yourself, please.
My name is Richard Rooney. I'm an exec member of the Tuckahoe Engine 28, ex-captain. My family's been associated with this department going back to 1920. Brian, you mentioned
Hey,
in membership,
Captain?
there's about 2,000 members that have been through this department in the last 100-some-odd years, okay? My concern is, and Paul, this is for you, this is not personal, and we're in the host company together with Commissioner Laurie. Question number one, what is your responsibility as the chairman of the Board of Fire Commissioners? And we can go through these bunches at a time. Why did you fail to control the meeting of July 10th, specifically allowing two other fire commissioners to be respectful to each other, as well as citizens in the audience? Did you authorize Commissioner Carlo to contact the Fire District Legal Counsel to suggest this extremely controversial amendment to the district rules banning all volunteer firefighters from the district firehouses or requesting fire apparatus for community events? Okay. I'm going to go through them all, and then you can go one by one. Thank you. Did you and the 3 other commissioners discuss via messaging or mail proposal the proposed amendment and purportedly exclude Commissioner Laurie? Are you familiar with the open meeting laws and how these communications are recorded? If Commissioner Carl is correct that the Eastchester Volunteer Fire Department no longer exists, why would either of you or Commissioner Laurie need to abstain from voting on the subject matter? Okay? There are 5 firehouses in the town of Eastchester. Chief Twain stated at the July 24th meeting, 4 are owned by the town of Eastchester, Waverly, North End, Tuckahoe, and Chester Heights, with Bronxville being owned by the fire district. Did you seek permission from the town supervisor or the board banning groups or volunteers from using these structures? Can you establish why the board and previous boards fails to maintain the living and working conditions of each firehouse? How much money was spent on the renovation of Chester Heights? Is it completed? Is it true that the basement was gutted and is still not usable to water penetration? Is it true that the second floor is condemned with no access allowed by either either employees or the public? Why did we put a handicap ramp at a firehouse that is not open to the public to be allowed in? Okay. Every firehouse has meeting rooms utilized by the volunteers companies as well as for various civic groups, meetings, events, family parties, voting, etc. for the past 90, it's actually 100 years. What was the perceived risk that with public access to liabilities, what is the perceived risk that you say public access to taxpayers' property is a liability? Okay? Can you explain why the fire district budget has increased 34% in the last 5 years? Why is the overtime budget $1 million? Okay? At the July 24th meeting, the assistant chief recommended to the board to sell surplus 5 support vehicles, some 20 years old, all roadworthy, and budget for new purchase of 4 new vehicles in the 2026 budget. Is this willful spending or a continuation of mismanagement by the board? Okay, those 12 items, Commissioner, dressed up Commissioner, the chairman, who would like to address what at any point? And backing up, now the 5 firehouses have been established, they've been there for 100 years. The volunteers met there. I don't know what the concern is to have this motion made right away, okay? The only people that are gonna use the rooms is the Benevolent Association, because we're on a stand-down order from 2000 and whatever the year was, okay? Is what it is, okay? But there's personal property, there's historical records, documents, and items in each one of those meeting rooms that is not fire district property, it's company property, okay? You can go to any firehouse. I mean, my concern when we came back after COVID, when we started sharing the room down in Tuckahoe, which is Engine 2, Engine 28 host company, we're sharing it with the host company. We had a very significant piece of equipment go missing, a classic High Eagle helmet, but the firehouse was supposed to be secured at that time. Someone bopped the fire helmet. Okay. Those things belong to the companies and the members that are still alive, that are inactive, exempt, whatever. That's not fire district. How do we handle that? The members can't have this historical property from photos, records, trophies, things of that nature going back more than 100 years?
Okay, these are comments, that's all.
Any response, Commissioner Randall?
It's a comment, it's a session for comments from the public. It's not an open discussion. Thank you for your comments. Next. Very simple. Next.
Mr. Rooney,
Yes, Commissioner Lawyer.
I still have maintained a lot of those records.
Right.
And I have a lot of the books from the Tuckahoe Host Company in my house right now, my own personal house. The trophies that are all up there are locked up there. I have the keys for them. If at any time that we're thrown out of the firehouse, like Commissioner Carlos can't wait for us to get thrown out, we will go up there and take them. I have the keys to them.
Right, and
No
we
one-
have-
No
we have
one is
that.
gonna touch them.
We
Not the
have that,
chief,
and
not
the
one
other
of these
companies have
commissioners gonna
that.
touch them.
They need access to that. But, you know, between COVID and when we went back in for the first benevolent meeting after COVID, which is several years, and the renovation where the 916, I believe they used to be housed in Bronxville, wound up in the host company, okay? You know, we had that High Eagle helmet, which is a very nice company piece, went AWOL.
I know.
But the district is supposed to be securing the facilities back then,
Well,
and it's missing in action.
well, according to that, he didn't say it directly, but that's why they want the volunteers out of there, because they think things are missing. And I could assure you that the membership of Tuckahoe Hose Company has never touched anything. You know that as well as I
And the
do.
only
So
other
does
people allowed in the
Commissioner Ranallo.
facility during COVID was the paid personnel. We went there for years, and it went
I'm
missing.
not blaming them either. I don't know who
well, I
touched
just-
it, yeah,
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
you're welcome.
Anyone else? Dave?
Dave Horn, member of Waverly Engine Company, 64 years. I'm an ex-deputy chief, and I'm presently a 50-year honorary chief. Three little things I want to just throw out before I get into my... This may affect what you want to do as far as voting. About 2 months ago, we had a meeting of several people, and we're going to make a recruitment drive at the end of the summer. We're going to use our 29, which we restored. We're going to probably mail out to the area, but we're also going to use it to go, as a prime example, one of the schools is having a car wash or something. You get 40, 50, 60 people. We're going to be handing out recruitment paraphernalia for them to see if they're interested in coming in. The other thing I wanted to point out, Scarsdale Fire Department, they just took in another volunteer up there, and they're right over the border, but they have no problems.
You know, they operate differently than other departments, you know that. They're not doing, they don't do emergency runs
No,
like
would
we
you
do.
speak into the microphone? I can't hear what you're saying.
You know they operate differently than other departments. You can't compare Scarsdale to anybody else, you know that.
Right. Well, my feeling is, and I said 64 years with the fire department. When I was 16 years old, I was born and raised in Eastchester, Tuckahoe Avenue. Now, I know you're hearing me. I'm hoping you're going to listen this time. I was standing on the corner in front of my house, and I look up, and my neighbor's house is on fire. It was right in the corner of White Plains Road and Tuckahoe Avenue. And this is back in the 50s. And back then, actually, our 29 was in service out of Waverly. Fred Movey was the driver then, if you remember that name. I ran over there to tell him there was a fire, and all I could do was stand on the corner and watch this house burn. And I made a commitment to myself and said, when I become 21, I'm going to become a volunteer and give back to my community. And now, what you're doing is a disgrace. You're saying what I did is useless.
No, it was fine then. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. It
was fine
You
then.
especially. I mean, you're the worst.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. But I also would like to read a couple of things. You know what I can't understand, and this is partly my fault because, I lived in Eastchester for 50, 60 years. The Board of Fire Commissioners never addressed volunteerism. We had to do our own recruitment. $24 million for a population of 30,000 people, and you can't take 1/100th of that and use it for recruitment? Isn't that a good way of, looking at the budget, so to speak? But, I mean, it's not just you guys. This goes back many years. It's just terrible the way things are doing. But to address this problem here, we have two attorneys. One did hours of research. Let me get my glasses out because I want to read a couple of things to address the idea of, keeping the volunteers out of the fire department. The research was done. I'm going to be very brief. It's 2 pages, but it's only 2 or 3 points. In New York State alone, I don't know, did anybody realize there's 130,000 volunteers in New York State alone?
The entire state is volunteer. We know that. This part of the country is not down here in this area. It's not all volunteer.
Yeah, you're right.
So the state is.
Go beyond White Plains.
Yeah.
Valhalla,
Yeah,
Hastings,
and that's what I'm saying, all
Scottsdale,
about, everything
that's
about
all
White Plains,
volunteers.
everything up 287 is volunteer, but down here it's not.
No, okay.
You sound like a clone
Just
for a
please
guy
hurry
we
up.
used to
Okay,
have as a
please, keep it
commissioner
brief.
years ago.
Be brief, please, we can move
The
along.
man's got the right to talk.
Not
He's
for
got
a
the
half
floor.
hour, not for a half hour, 3 minutes, 3 to
You
5
got a
minutes.
time limit on
Interrupted
it?
me, I could tell, too.
Dave, please, go on.
Thank you, Commissioner. But in New York State, going back to 2015, there's only been 3 incidents of volunteers not being allowed to go into a building. And one was from a burning building, because I think the firefighters weren't qualified. One was in Albany. It involved the union and the volunteers. And this, I don't think matters, but there's a statewide law, resident-only volunteer restrictions enforced by resolution. The other thing was, there's never been in New York State a blanket rule that volunteers may not enter the firehouse. And I said it goes on to a little bit of detail. Eastchester has never had this before. That's from one of our attorneys. This one is from an attorney we deal with that's in Albany. He's part of the Fire Association State of New York, excuse me. And he states, it said, every municipal authority has jurisdiction is obligated to maintain volunteer firefighters benevolent law. In other words, the building is insured, the people going in and out aren't. But he says, if you pass a rule that says volunteers, I'm going to give you this so you can keep it for the record, by saying that you can't allow volunteers into the firehouse, that also means school. I remember when I was a little kid, from school, we went to the firehouse, spent half the day there. That technically means they can't go to the firehouse. A parent, a grandfather wants to take his child to go to the firehouse, they're not going to be allowed in the firehouse either, because that's going to be part of that law. So I just wanted to, make you aware of this, of what's going on with New York State. This, you can keep.
In October, we have, Chief, what do we have, fire safety rules in October? Is that-
Yeah, Fire Prevention Month.
Okay, so are we gonna, if Cottle School or Waverly School calls you and says we're gonna bring the 2nd and 3rd graders, could you give us a demonstration or make the officer in charge show the students the engine?
The firehouses are public buildings, but the students aren't going to go there and have a meeting.
No,
So
I
that's what
understand
I
that.
see the significance. It's like, if they want to come in the firehouse and go into public areas, look at the fire trucks, anybody from the public is welcome to do that. The taxpayers pay for those fire trucks. But if you want to have a meeting in there, then like when Chester Heights used to have meetings, they had to provide insurance liability for the building. They'd have to get a rider on their insurance policy, and they would get written permission from the board. The way I see the motion, that's what this is saying. You have to, anytime you want to use a rig or a pickup truck or come in and have a meeting, you have to request written permission. Is that what the motion basically summarizes?
It's all the same.
So they're public buildings. The volunteers can come in just like anybody else from the public. So, you say the school children, they give them a tour of the firehouse. The volunteers, it's a public building. They're not going to be excluded from the public part of the building. The dormitories may be locked. It may say authorized personnel only
that we
because they have
understand.
wallets in there and, personal equipment. But the public areas of the firehouse would be open to everybody.
I don't think we want them to see the dormitories for any reason, anybody to go in there. But if the students are coming and they're going to be on the apron of the driveway, and all of a sudden it's raining today, so we got to bring them inside the firehouse. So one little boy sits down on the steps and falls on the steps, we're going to have a lawsuit.
Yeah, well, potentially. I mean, you
yeah.
can't stop somebody from suing you. It
No,
doesn't mean they're going to
I
win.
know that. So if one of them even have to use the bathroom, you can't bring them in there then. So in other words, even next year, when the Mamaroneck Day Parade comes, we can't ask to use the maintenance truck either then, right?
I believe the resolution is asking you to ask permission in writing.
You said
Okay,
that.
we always ask. We never.
Well, the difference is verbally you ask and we give you permission.
We come right to the board and ask, and we never, I don't think anybody out there that's a volunteer or anybody that was a former paid personnel went and touched a vehicle without permission. And I don't think
I agree.
I don't think we ever did that. We always came to the board. If we didn't put it in writing, we always came to the board and asked permission. So now I guess we're gonna be denied. I remember when we were in the Tucker Hose Company, Paul, you remember we had parties there? We brought it to the Board of Fire Commissioners the meeting before. We're having just a yearly function in there with no liquor. We had soda and coffee, and we had a little party many times. Am I correct? And we came to the
right.
board.
So,
We came to
exactly.
the board. We never did anything without letting the board know that we had a party. In fact, former Commissioner Albanise's uncle, we bought the food and he cooked it for us. We never went in that firehouse 20 years ago, 10 years ago, or 5 years ago without the permission of the Board of Fire Commissioners. So I don't know where you think that we just go in that firehouse or any firehouse and ransack the place and have a grand old time, because I don't think we ever did that.
This piece of agenda here says that just what you just said. You ask permission to use whatever you're going to occupy
I
in
understand.
advance. That's
Paul,
all it is.
I understand that, but the way he's putting it, he's throwing us out.
I'm not putting it anyway, it's right here.
Where does it say? he's
Yeah, I'm not
throwing
throwing
out the
you guys out. I'm
volunteers?
just saying, you gotta write to us and let us know if you wanna use it, that's all.
So just a couple of things. So in the current discussion that you're having right now, so what's pertinent to this conversation, are they members of the department or not, right? So if they're members, why would a member have to ask permission? But let's put this, I just want to make sure, I'm very big on voting on facts, right? So you're going to make decisions up there, that's what you were elected to do. And you should be elected, you should make decisions based on facts. A statement was made earlier that volunteerism doesn't work in this part of the country. And I'm trying to clarify that, because is Scarsdale in this part of the country?
I told you already, Scarsdale's different than anybody else around, you know that.
Okay, so they have 50 guys. Okay,
Don't compare Scarsdale to
that's a
anybody.
combination department. Is Ardsley in this part of the country?
Ardsley, Fairview, they all have some volunteers. Mount Vernon,
Ardsley's
Shell-
all volunteer. Correction, all of
Okay, but
Hastings.
I'm not having a discussion all night.
Hastings
The fact
and Dobbs
is,
Ferry's all
the
volunteer.
board has the right to decide whether or not volunteers.
I am not
come back.
that's not my
Okay.
point. You're redirecting what I'm saying.
You're gonna go on all night. I don't want to do this.
I'm not saying it's not your
Make your
right. What
comments
I'm
and let's
saying,
go.
hold on, can I speak? What I am correcting a factual statement that was made that said volunteers don't work in this part of the country. They do. They
Okay.
are.
Fine.
Okay.
Right? And I'm not suggesting, don't put words in my mouth, that this become any way, shape, or form a volunteer department. It's a combination department, and the volunteers could adjunct help out. That's all I'm suggesting.
That's fine.
That is working. That works in Greenville, Fairview. That it works. And why does it work in Scarsdale? Why does it work in Greenville? Because there's support.
Fine.
And that's the point. You know, but the fact that you're closing your ears and not open to it, that means you have another agenda. And your
No
goal
agenda.
is just
There's
to
no
do
agenda.
this.
The volunteers are just done. That's it. That's my opinion. That's the board's opinion too. Maybe a
No, it's
future,
not the
maybe a
board.
future
What-
board,
what
maybe
the
a
board-
future
but
board.
my question
the
to you-
majority of the
Say
board,
that.
majority of the
But
board.
my question to
Maybe
you-
a future board will bring them back. I don't know, but right now it's not. I think you. I think.
But why
I
not,
have your comments.
why not give them parameters and a way to say, okay, you have this period to give it a shot. If you can't get members, if you can't get people going to drills, then fine, then it's over.
Okay, we'll take it into consideration.
What was that?
We'll take it into consideration.
I mean, is there any downside to that?
We'll take it into consideration.
No, I understand, but I'm just so that we know how you're thinking, what is the downside to that? What is the downside to the Eastchester public that you were elected to serve? Is there a downside?
A downside
There's
having volunteers
upside,
around?
but I don't know what, I don't
know.
understand. I'm not smart
We feel-
enough to
we feel-
understand the downside.
You're taking this as directed solely to the volunteers. It is not directed solely to the volunteers.
It
It's
is,
directed
but
to
you're
anyone
masking
in the
it.
public who wishes to use the firehouse for any reason must have written permission to do so.
Well, why didn't,
Write permission, ask permission in writing, and get back an answer in
So if the
writing.
volunteer company says, we want to have 4 or 5 meetings a year on these dates,
We want to know, yeah.
will that work?
okay, it says here, no volunteer fire company authorize individuals' use of the firehouse or property or anything. So did you send that out to the social clubs?
Or any other organization. It says it right there, any other organization. It mentions the volunteers.
I don't know why you
and then
think that,
also
because
other-
this was
any
brought up tonight, it affects your existence. If this was not brought up, I can almost guarantee you.
Whoa.
Wait, if this
I
was not,
saw
if
the
this was
last-
not brought up, it's not gonna change the fact that the volunteers are not coming back, as far as I am concerned. Maybe a future board may bring them back or resurrect them, that's
Have
great.
you personally tried to bring them back?
I'm not gonna, no one wants to bring them back. Nobody wants to bring them back. I'm sorry, you feel they should come back. Nobody wants to bring them back. This does not change anything, except for the fact that we don't want anybody outside this organization, firemen, individuals, other groups, coming in without asking us. That's all. Just ask us if you want to use the building.
So when you say nobody, I just don't know what you mean by that.
Any
Do
organization,
you think
person
that
cannot
that
use
is
our
in the best
building.
interest of the town of Eastchester?
Any
Because
organization.
that's what you're elected to do. Is that the best interest of the town of?
What? Who's they? What are you talking about?
I'm going to
Okay,
end this
2-minute
back and
conversation,
forth.
but-
Is there anyone else who wants to get up and talk
I'm
about
not,
this?
yeah, you gotta speak, next. Enough.
Besides you, Rich, is there anyone else that we haven't heard from want to talk about it?
I'm back, Commissioner Brown. I'm sorry. So you want to pay, who's using, other than the benevolent and maybe the companies using the company facilities? Commissioner Law, you've been associated with the department for years, Chief. Who else has been using the community rooms?
Nobody.
Nobody. There's no reason to pass this motion.
Okay,
When
so
the
if
benevolent,
nobody
when
else-
the benevolent, I'm speaking, please be silent. When the benevolent needs to use the meeting room, we advised the chief and the board, we have a benevolent meeting on Thursday, the third Thursday of these months, boom, boom. That's what it is. There's no reason to have this motion. It's a friggin' moot point. Table it and move on and address these other concerns that were brought up from all these other things. If you're strict, no volunteers are coming back, that's your whole thing, but there's no reason to have the motion because there's nobody else using the facility. You're insured by it. You don't own the facilities technically. Apparently the town owns them most. Let's move on from this. Thank you.
Yes, Mike?
I'm Mike Parisi from Chester Heights, 16 Lockwood Avenue. The 5 of you gentlemen were voted into office by who?
The public.
The public, the taxpayers of the town of Eastchester and the 2 villages. I think, and it's only constructive criticism, you're the chairman, Mr. Ranalone. This should have been passed through you, and you should have presented it. Not to have a snake oil policy here and a show. It's embarrassing. Guys here are screaming, you're screaming, blood pressure's rising. Discuss it. Are you going to make a policy and procedure about this? We didn't hear that. We just heard what was said by the attorney to Commissioner Carlo. It should be a policy. You should present the policy with the rest of the commissioners, and this is how it's going to play out. Not that it's going to happen next year if I'm not here or somebody else is here or Mike Parisi sitting on the board and he might decide to put it back into office. Have a policy, have your facts, and present it well. This is going over the airways. This is like a horse show, and it's not right. You are all educated gentlemen. You have your own businesses. You came from law enforcement. You are a firefighter, an officer in the fire department, and this is going on like this. It's poor business. Poor, poor business. Put the policy and procedure into effect, let the public see it, and then go from there. But what's going on here is not right. This is a waste of taxpayer time and taxpayer money. And I'm surprised at the 5 of you guys. I really am. Knowing where your background comes from, Luca, knowing where your background comes from, Tony, Paul, Anthony, Commissioner Carlo, I'm surprised. Okay? You've been through this horse show before. Don't make it a horse show. Make it a positive thing. If you don't vote on it tonight, vote on it, we're going to put a policy and procedure in effect, and we're going to come back next month and discuss it with the public. Do that. Not saying what the lawyer says. You are the fire commissioners of this town. The lawyer can give you direction and tell you how to put it in, but make the policy and procedure and put it in to effect if you're going to do it. The city of New Rochelle and the city of Mount Vernon are what? Cities. That's why they don't have volunteers. But at one time, back in the early 30s, they did have volunteers, in the early 40s, and they became a municipality. They created a city. We're not a city, we're a town and villages. And Commissioner Carlo, not to be disrespectful to you, in the 50-mile range, there are a lot of volunteer departments that are still in effect. And at one time, they used to call the volunteer department a volunteer department, correct me if I'm wrong, and the firefighters were the chauffeurs that drove the engine and put the water into the fire on the pump and sent it out when the firefighters did their business. But please, make it a positive thing. Don't have a horse and pony show. Thank you.
Yes, Ray.
Ray Albanese, a 50-year member of this department, an honorary chief, and a 28-year commissioner that sit on that board, same as you gentlemen do. All my career as a commissioner, I was a taxpayer-oriented commissioner. Every decision I'd made, everything I brought up and proposed was for the good of the taxpayers. I don't see that anymore. I don't see that with this board. Supporting volunteers is not anti-taxpayer. It is pro-taxpayer. Now, I'm not saying we're bringing the volunteers back, but the attitude that you have is shameful. I know when I first came on the board, became a volunteer, I was so proud to be a volunteer in this town. My father, my uncles were all volunteers. My father was an ex-deputy chief. Well, he is now, but he was a deputy chief. He was proud that I became a volunteer. When my son joined the department, he joined as a volunteer, and then he became a career firefighter. I was so proud of him and what he accomplished. You guys got to realize what your job is. The job is to represent the taxpayers. Whatever is good for them, you got to make that your first priority. And I don't know. I don't know what more to say to you. Please be pro-taxpayer. They elected you.
Anyone else? All right.
Good.
Want to extend this till next month?
It's up to you. We can vote now. Luke?
You have a motion and a second.
Okay, well, like I said, this is not directed specifically to the volunteers. This is to everybody, every member of the public to have access to the firehouse. We must have it in writing beforehand and give approval in writing. That's all this is. That's all this is. So the department knows when the firehouse is being used by someone else. That's what this is for.
How long in advance does that have to be put ready?
2 or 3 days?
Well, if it has to be passed at a meeting,
Oh, I'm sorry. If it has to go through the board, then, give it a month.
Are there any guidelines on why it would be approved or denied?
No. It's a board decision.
Sounds like it's your decision.
Okay. Not discussing this. It's a board decision. Do you want to vote on it now or want to do it?
Things need to be worked out, and you're voting on it very prematurely. It sounds like it's being forced. You know what I mean?
It
It's
certainly
nothing,
is.
but it's not a bad thing. Why are you guys going against so quick?
Because I don't want to do this, but there's things that need to be worked out. Now you have to wait
So you guys can meet somewhere, but you guys can meet somewhere else. Yes, you can. Why can't you? You can meet somewhere else. You can meet somewhere else. You have to meet in a firehouse.
We meet every month, 12 months a year. We don't take off for the summer.
No one says you have to meet in a firehouse. That doesn't affect your existence. It doesn't affect the board or you're being abolished. Nothing says you have to meet in a firehouse. That's all it says. Go meet in a restaurant. Go meet someplace else. Why does it matter? Why does it matter? Why does it matter to you?
So I'm part of the fire department. Question, under this policy, if they submit a letter and say we want to meet these 5 times during the year, will that be allowed?
It's a board decision. They can discuss it.
So you tell me that the number is allowed. If I'm a paid firefighter, I still have to go in front of the board and ask their permission to use the firehouse? That's why you guys are quiet.
If the firefighter is going to use it for something else aside from being at work or a union meeting.
But I'm a member of the department.
So off-duty firefighters.
So off-duty firefighters.
Off-duty or retired.
Off-duty firefighters,
We're allowed on property.
the department has to supply a meeting room for the firefighters.
Yeah, but he says.
That could be the 1935 regulations, that red book, that it says that they will give them a space, like kind of like the volunteer quarters at the career firefighter. I'm not sure if that's in the CBA or the 1935 rule book, but
So, I mean, that's the only reason the career firefighters would come into the firehouse if they were going to have a union meeting.
So that means if it's at Station 2, let's say that's where the union quarters are, they can't go to North End.
Right. They're not going to have it in North End. There's no place in North End to meet.
I'm just, right. We have Station 4, which you don't want to finish completing the renovation, and all we have is Station 2. That's it.
Or meet somewhere else.
No, Station 2. We have a right to the firehouse.
Why do you have a right? Who says so?
I'm a volunteer firefighter and a taxpayer.
No longer providing the service to the district. You have no have a. Who says you have a right to the firehouse? Who says you have a right to the? You no longer provide a service to the district. Okay, I'm not. Again, I'm not doing this.
This
So-
is going to go back and forth the rest of the night. I'm going to put an end to it. We will stop discussing this issue
Okay, so
now.
let me ask a question. If a member of the union retires, okay, he tells the chief, I'm retiring the 1st of September, you're gonna have a little, a wet down in the firehouse on the apparatus floor for him?
usually when they're still working. And on their last day is when they usually have the lunch.
Yeah, but other people come in too, chief.
Right.
The
So
man's family come in, other people. Other people, like the man that retires, he brings his family or relatives in, that's a liability too.
But the department knows well in advance when that's going to happen.
Okay, so we're gonna have a party for Christmas.
Okay.
We want the party the 15th of December, so we write it.
Okay.
We write a letter, we give it to you on the 15th of October. And then the 15th of November, you tell us we can't have it when we already get everything prepared. Is that a nice thing to do to the volunteers? Every time we had a party, even when we had a party outside the firehouse, this whole board was invited and everybody came. That's okay.
Some details need to be worked out.
You gotta work a lot of details out, like he says, before you vote on this.
You can't go in this direction, but there's
And we gotta work it out together, not just between one commissioner and a lawyer. It seems like I'm always left out.
Seems like the way this went down is very shady.
All right. All right, that's it.
we're gonna have public comments.
And we have-
Lou, you got to go to the microphone. It's not fair to the public. They're not going to hear you. Please speak at the microphone, not from the chairs.
So I apologize, so I will speak on the mic. So just looking at the facts and circumstances as they presented themselves, you weren't going to have public comments. That was kind of forced upon you. You don't know all these little details, nuances, waiting, reject, how do you plan things. Doesn't that seem like we should take a little bit more time and think about other input and then do the right thing, however you want to do? I understand what you're trying to accomplish, bring a little bit more control around the firehouses, but there's a lot of nuances that should be worked out. right?
This should not require a 10-page document on every little step on how it should be done. We simply ask for written permission,
No,
that's all.
but-
So
but
you put your request in, if you're gonna have a party in December, ask us in October, we'll make a decision, you plan time to plan your party.
The
It's
decision's
not
probably
don't make a
gonna say
science out
no
of it.
anyway.
We just want people to have the right to come to us and say, I wanna do this, I wanna do this, without just walking
Okay,
in.
Commissioner Carlo, when did you ever see the volunteers not
I'm
come
not
to
saying they
this
never
board?
did. Whether you did or did, it's not
Well,
the
you-
issue.
you-
We're just setting guidelines, whether you did or did. I'm not accusing you guys of doing anything wrong.
we came
We
to-
just set guidelines. Stop being so offended by this.
Stop being so offended
Yeah,
by
you're
it.
offended by it.
You're darn right
I'm not doing
offended
anything
by
to
it.
hurt you guys. I just asked you
You're
to
not
set
doing-
guidelines.
So wait, so there should be some.
He says I shouldn't be offended. You're hurting
So
us.
there's different guidelines, right? You're trying to set a guideline, okay? In principle, no one disagrees with that. It's a good thing, right? But there's different ways, right? So what about just having the chief sign off on it so it can be quicker and more? Do we have I mean, did the chief not do a good job in the past? Did the volunteers not let the chief? Like, why is that not an option? Like, you just totally dismissed that.
It's a very
So
general-
that's like
it's a
you
very
have an
general-
agenda.
It's a very general statement. Just submit a request. Why does it got to go through the chief? Why does it got to go through anybody? It's a very general statement. Why are you guys making more of this than what it is?
Because there is it certainly seems.
It all
there's
comes
an underlying
down to,
agenda
it all
here.
comes down to your.
And
your-
by the way,
your
I
threat.
did listen to the last
It all
meeting.
comes down to the threat that you may never come back. Which is
What?
irrelevant in this whole discussion. It all comes back to the threat that you may never come back. Like this is going to start the wheels in motion of you guys never returning. They're totally separate. So you guys are panicking.
I don't
because
see
you may
it that
never-
way, but
you
you're
guys are-
you're
you guys are
entitled to your opinion.
You guys are panicking because you're never going to come back again. You're trying to preach to us the importance of volunteers, and we're doing this. Unrelated. We don't want anybody in the firehouse. And we don't want anybody in the firehouse without asking our permission. That's all. It's a public building. You want to walk in, you can walk in.
So
Don't have a meeting there.
So it's just, it's not one thing that you say, it's the totality. If I listen to everything you say, you put the pieces together, the direction of travel is in a certain direction. But that's neither here nor there. I could be wrong. I hope I am wrong. Maybe the two things have nothing to do with each other.
Why do you feel the need to combine now and preach for the volunteers?
I'm
Why?
sorry, what was the question?
Why do you feel the need right now to preach for the volunteers to return? Just
Why-
because of this?
Because I don't why do you feel the need to preach that they're never coming back? But I really truly don't understand, and I really don't. Why is volunteerism a bad word?
But this is
Why
not-
don't you want
this
it?
is not a
Why don't
volunteer-
you want
this
it?
is not a
Why is that
volunteer-
not something
This is not a
in
volunteer
the benefit
discussion.
of the public, of
It's not a
the
volunteer
citizens of
discussion.
Eastchester? What?
It's not a volunteer discussion. Why are you making it such?
You make
It's
it
just about
such.
access to the
Okay,
firehouse.
All right, let's call a spade, okay?
Paul, you know what?
Read me,
Just-
read,
just-
wait,
just-
read me that sentence.
No, just
Volunteers and everybody else. In other words, you stuck the other people in there just because you
No,
want
they're all
them
in
up
there. I didn't motion you guys out. It's just everybody's in there.
All right, I'm
So now
getting
you're being-
emotional.
Now again, you're being like you're being
All right.
like you're being,
I'm
like
going
you're
to
being
stop.
targeted.
I'm stopping discussion on this. We're going to,
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
It's fine. Have a good night.
Where's Paul gone?
I don't know.
I think meeting's adjourned. Are we
No.
all done?
No.
There was no second, and then
No.
it wasn't voted on.
What's that?
He made a motion. Are you seconding the motion?
I said that,
Motion to adjourn.
All right.
All in favor?
Paul, you want to call the roll?
Let's get out of here.
All in favor?
Just adjourn.
Commissioner Sarasi,
Second it.
Commissioner Carlo,
Aye.
Commissioner
aye.
I'm actually against,
Did we pay
we
the
still have a
bills?
couple things to do here.
Okay.
What do you got to do?
We gotta talk about the next meeting, we gotta do some other things. We should do it the right way, and then if you
The
wanna
next
adjourn, we
meeting
can.
is already, the schedule's there.
I
But
know,
it's
but
budget.
we announce it to the public and do everything the right way.
Well,
You know
got to
what
do a
I'm
lot
saying?
of things the right way, Commissioner.
So, but, okay, well,
Okay.
we're not doing it the right way here. We should all talk about the next meeting, who's gonna be there, does he have any commissioner comments or anything?
I think
We're
they
all
had a
gonna adjourn.
majority of the board voted to
Okay.
adjourn.
Okay. Okay, then we're adjourned.
Okay. You want Gary to cut the video?
yeah, meeting's over. Meeting adjourned.